Welcome to the meeting of the State Hawaii Board of Agriculture. I'm Randy Cabral, board member, and I will be chairing this month's Board of Agriculture meeting on behalf of Chairperson Hurd due to her traveling on business. Prior to calling the meeting to order, Jason will explain how the public can participate in this hybrid meeting, which can be accessed by video conference, telephone, or in person. Jason?
As an attendee, your microphone will be automatically muted during the meeting, unless you are providing testimony. For each agenda item you wish to testify on, please click the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. Board staff will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking in order to prevent audio feedback. When testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 2 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If you are dialing in by phone, when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering star and then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and then 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing star and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter star and then 6 again to mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Testifiers are reminded there's a 2-minute limit of testimony per agenda item. Okay, the meeting is now called to order. Now 9:06. I will take the call of the board members present. When your name is called, please indicate your presence with a here or present and state who, if any, over the age of 18 is present in the room with you. This also serves as a roll call vote. For each subsequent vote, I will ask if there are any objections. If there are none, then the motion will be approved on the same basis as this initial roll call. Okay, Sharon Hurd, chairperson, is absent. Deputy Director Ryan Kanaka-Ole.
Present and alone.
Dr. Parwinder Grewal. Excused. Mark Takimoto from VBED.
Present, and I'm in an office. People walk around, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Diane Lay.
Present, and no one over the age of 18 is with me.
Nathan Oswald.
Here and alone.
Fred Cowell. Absent. Myself, Randy Cabral. Ann Young. James Gomes. Here. Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10. Yeah, you barely got that. But that means you gotta be, you have 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, Takemoto and Ryan 6. So you have 6, so you barely have it. So to take any action, you have to be unanimous for the action. So any action has to be unanimous or it's gonna fail.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the first agenda item, approval of minutes of January 28th, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve the January 28th, 25 minutes? Second.
Chair, I can second it. I do have some 2 corrections.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony? No. Okay, board discussion. Diane?
Thank you, Chair. On page 3, line 32, this is referencing comment I made. I asked the question if there were any insights into whether the decrease in rents, because there were several that were significant decreases in rents. So just rather than increasing, it's decrease. And then on page 13, line 6, I'm sorry, page 11, line 16, it's the discussion, it was Bronson Yadao, Yadao. His last name is just misspelled.
Okay, thank you, noted.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, if not, we're gonna call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals on the amended minutes? If not, the minutes are approved. Okay, communications from the Business Administration. First up is Agricultural Resource Management Division. Request that one loan to Island Manaia LLC be referred to the Attorney General's Office for deposition and collection. May I have a motion to approve the request? So Jimmy, second.
Diane, I'll
Diane?
second. Thank you.
Okay, presentation by staff.
Is this for the island money?
Yes.
Yes. State my name.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Young Pak. I'm with the loan division. This morning, requesting for Island Money LLC to be referred to the Attorney General for disposition and or collection. Alan and Galen Hoft, husband and wife, are registered owners. A 60,000 Class F new farmer operating loan was approved in June 2018 to be utilized to build a commercial kitchen to make value-added cassava products, mainly chips. The subject loan is secured by UCC-1 security interest in crops, accounts, inventory, and farm equipment. After the loan, the Hofts encountered permitting issues with the landlord and Department of Health at the farm premises, and instead opted to purchase a food truck in the secondary market. The Hofts had plans to hold wedding and birthday parties at the farm. The loan was being paid as agreed until August of 2022. However, the COVID pandemic had a significant effect on the farm operation and was very difficult to overcome. The Hofts were evicted from the leased farmland around October of 2022. There have been numerous attempts to contact the Hofts via email, no phones, their phones were disconnected for a meeting to discuss the situation, but did not materialize. In June of 2023, Galen responded to an email stating that they are residing in a homeless shelter in Kapolei and only provided a PO box address. Additional attempts have been made since, but no responses. Based on the Hofts no longer farming and residing at a homeless facility with limited responses to our assistance, the staff recommends the subject loan be referred to the Department of Attorney General.
Anybody from the public? No, that's great. Okay, for discussion.
Can you hear me?
Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, so Nate Oswald, Molokai. When was the last contact? July of 2024?
No, it was June of 2023.
Did they have any indicated, like, was there any conversation that maybe they could, like, what they had plans for, or that there's just a complete drop of communication at this point?
Yeah, they just, I wanted to talk to them, meet them, but they wouldn't cooperate. They just gave me a PO box address. That's what I was trying to, find some kind of a address to send correspondence. I don't know if that address is correct or not. Yeah.
But they're aware of the outstanding balance and the fact that it
Oh,
needs to
yeah,
be collected?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Nate, are you done? Okay, Diane?
I don't think that, I don't think in all the years I've seen, the need to send, requests for collections to the Attorney General's office that, we've had a case where, a family has become homeless. So I don't know if the board has any ability to influence, but, yeah, it's not a good situation. I mean, anytime we default on a loan is not good, but, situation like this is rough. So I guess I would just ask for consideration on that. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Sure, for promote.
Jimmy?
When you said you'd have no correspondence with these people, and your mail or your correspondence, how do you send it? Just regular mail? You send it certified that you know that they received it? You said something that they're aware of their.
Yeah, I sent email as well. I scanned it and then sent the email, and then I just sent a regular mail. So, I mean, obviously, if they responded to my email, they should have gotten the copy. I don't know.
Have you seen the property?
Yes, I
Not
have.
there anymore?
I went to.
Since the weekend recoup?
No, when I went out, the workers at the landlord were cleaning out the places. So
Are there structures on the property?
yes, there's a dwelling there.
Would be nice for the board to, because I have some pictures of some sort, so I can get some kind of pulse of the situation, how bad it is. How soon will this, once the AG has it, is this property gonna come up again for lease?
No, it's not state land.
Not state land.
Yeah,
Or just loaned?
it's a private lease.
Okay,
Yeah, so we have no
okay.
recourse in that property.
Yeah, question on, I think you said earlier that collateral was equipment.
Yeah, it's
What
UCC
happened
one.
with the equipment?
When I went there, the truck wasn't there. That's probably like the most valuable. So I'm assuming they probably, I don't know, disposed it. That's how UCC is.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, next on the agenda is request for approval of one loan guarantee to Hawaii People Point Inc.
Oh.
May I have a motion to approve the request?
So,
Diane?
second.
Jimmy, second. Okay, presentation by staff.
Good morning. I'm Jillian Scheibe from the Ag Loan Division out of Kona. I'll be presenting a request for a loan guarantee for Mokowai Pico Poi. Mokowai has been incorporated since 2013 and solely owned by Ms. Kaiahili. The lead lender is Feed the Hunger Fund. The request is for an 80% loan guarantee on $336,000 by the lender. The funds will be used to expand to 24 acres in 5 years. The equipment purchase will be a Kubota tractor, excavator, excavator attachments, scag mower, and bagging machine for approximately $242,000. The remaining $94,000 is for operating capital, which will provide the necessary liquidity to complete the expansion. Per their lease, there's a relatively short timeline to get the land into production. They are currently ahead of schedule, but must clear heavy weed infestation and rehabilitate the waterways. The term is for 7 years with a blended fixed interest rate of 5.385%. The proposed repayment is 6 months of interest-only payments of $1,057.80, followed by full principal and interest payments of $4,810 until maturity. The loan is secured with a first position financing statement for all new equipment, as well as a junior financing statement on all business assets, equipment, accounts, and inventory. It'll be further secured with a personal guarantee from this Ka'ai Healing. Mokuwai is a family operation out of Waipio Valley, started in 1997, but formally organized in 2013. Kahea took the reins fully in 2015. She has deep roots in the area as a fourth-generation taro farmer, and her leadership is recognized, having recently become the president of the Waipio Valley Taro Farmers Association. In 2023, Bishop Museum awarded her leases that encompass 31 acres. She and her family began restoring and planting out the loe as soon as they got it. So it is a work in progress. They are now getting their first harvest. Since the demand currently outpaces production for their poi by the pound and poi pops, they intend to continue purchasing taro from other farms. The proposed loan is a collaboration between 2 community development financial institutions and is conditional on the guarantee being provided from the State Ag Loan Division. The guaranteed is required to offset the loan amount being above the normal lender's limit. The benefit for providing the guarantee to the state is that no state funds will need to be expended. The operation will be able to complete their expansion in a timely fashion, meeting their lease requirements and business goals. The proposed loan will also have a more favorable interest rate than what the state program can offer. Based on the borrower's farming ability, good credit history, adequacy of collateral, historical, and projected profitability, staff recommends approval.
Thanks, Joe. Any testimony from the public?
No hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Board discussion,
Sure.
Jimmy?
I think that this operation has been very successful, and it looks like that they're really good stewards of the island. So 4th generation, just curious, do we know if there's any succession? They have children that would take this over? It seems like a hell of operation that they have. Do they have another 5th generation or something? Just curious.
The individual is a parent. I do not know what her children are thinking, though.
They're collecting Social Security, right?
That is someone in the household, not them.
Yeah, okay. All right, I was just curious on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, just a
Well,
comment.
quick question.
Okay.
Sorry
okay.
for interrupting. Sorry about that. With the expansion, have they done is there any available market research on with this expansion, if the market can absorb it and remain profitable, or are they still I'm assuming they're selling everything they make. Is there any projection that they might overproduce and then soften the market, or not at this point?
So they were able to attend the Hawaii Impact Ready cohort, where they did a lot of business strategy over 2024. And part of what that was seeing how that ramp up strategy would actually play out. There's 2 things that are going right now. Their markets are currently asking for about a quarter more than they're providing. So imaginary numbers, if they're providing 80, they want 100, right? So that is a pretty big wiggle room as of now. But since we're talking about 24 acres, that is a good concern for them. What that would mean, though, is that they can scale back of purchasing from other farmers if they do saturate the market.
Perfect. Thank you. Because I've seen that before. I've seen farms ramp up and they keep
Yeah.
growing and then they hit that cap and then they kind of have to settle it back down. So it's good that they're thinking about this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nate. What I was gonna say at the ag day at the Capitol, they were passing out the Koi Pops. The food basket was actually doing that and really excellent product. Really enjoyed it. Okay, if no more discussion, then I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, request for approval of one Class C loan for Mint Mushrooms and Produce LLC, Sumitra V. Barton, co-borrower. May I have a motion to approve the request?
So move.
Jimmy, second. Penny, second.
Right.
Diane. Okay, presentation by staff.
Presenting a loan request for Mint Mushroom and Produce LLC and Sumitra Barton, who is the sole owner, as co-borrowers. The applicants are requesting a Class C operating loan of $200,000. The proposed term of the loan is for 10 years with a fixed interest rate of 6.5%. Monthly payment will be approximately $1,271 per month. The loan will be secured by a second mortgage on Sumitra Barton's condominium with approximately equity of $100,000. Since 2018, Sumitra gained knowledge and experience growing oyster mushrooms from a mentor. In early 2022, Sumitra established Mint Mushrooms and Produce LLC. The loan division approved and funded a 50,000 microloan in late 2022 for farms working capital needs. Sumitra has proven herself with dedicated hard work and has successfully established an oyster mushroom farm that is gradually growing each year. With the proceeds from this loan request, the applicant will be able to purchase some critical supplies, hire one full-time labor to achieve production goals, pay down high interest indebtedness incurred in making improvements, adding an additional greenhouse and various costs associated with the farm operation. Based on the applicant's diligent and dedicated work habits, sound credit history with loan division, and contributing to the local farm production in Hawaii, staff recommends approval of this loan request.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to give testimony? No hands raised. Okay, board discussion. None? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or recusals?
Yes, for public testimony.
Pardon?
Yes, for public testimony.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, next, Agricultural Research Management Division. Request that the Board of Agriculture delegate authority to the chairperson to further negotiate and enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Agribusiness Development Corporation regarding the purchase of the Waiawa Dam Spillway, TNK 17-1-012-014, Island of Oahu, Hawaii. Motion to approve the request.
So
Jimmy, second. Diane. Okay, presentation by staff.
Hi, good morning, members of the board. My name is Glenn Okamoto. I'm an engineer with ARM. So Act 218, SLH 2023 appropriated $26 million and authorized DOA, DLNR, and ABC to acquire the Wahiawa irrigation system and to purchase, repair, and maintain the associated spillway. In January, the governor released $10 million to acquire a fee simple interest in the spillway parcel and also to design the dam safety improvements associated with the dam. The memorandum of agreement between DOA and EDC will identify each entity's responsibilities with regards to funding, land acquisition, and improvements to the dam. This project is necessary to preserve the system for public access and the agriculture industry by acquiring the Wahiawa irrigation system and bringing the spillway into compliance with all relevant dam safety requirements. The Wahiawa irrigation system provides agricultural water to farmers and is necessary for continued irrigation of their crops. The reservoir stores water for the irrigation system and is used for recreational activities. Staff recommends that the board delegate authority to the chairperson to further negotiate and enter into memorandum of agreement with the Agribusiness Development Corporation regarding the purchase of the Wahiawa dam spillway.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to give testimony?
No hands.
None. Okay, board discussion. Diane?
Thank you, Chair. I saw the act included DOA, ADC, and DLNR. But the memorandum of agreement doesn't reference the role DBED plays other than to approve for administrative services. I'm confused. Well, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Now I'm getting confused. Sorry. Let me start over. I don't see the role that DLNR plays in this, and I guess maybe it's holding the master of all master leases with respect to land. I just didn't know if it was just an oversight or whether they don't need to be included. I guess that's the question.
I can clarify a little and perhaps staff as well.
Okay.
However, so there's 3 entities that are doing the acquisition. There's DOA, ADC, DLNR, different parts. The this MOA and the board action today, I believe it'll allow DOA and ADC to move forward on doing the acquisitions and closing on the their portions of the bigger project. DLNR is still undergoing the due diligence process, so we're tracking differently. So this would allow ADC and DOA to move. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just didn't know if it was an oversight or what. So.
Any other questions from the board? If not, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or recusal? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up is request to approve rental offset general lease number M-3151 and S-3152 Diamond View Ranch LLC, leasing TMK 2-2-004-029 and 066. Okea Hula Makaweo, Island of Maui, Hawaii. May I have a motion to approve the request?
So
Jimmy, second. Second,
I could second.
Nate. Okay. Anyone from the public wish to testify? No hands. None. Okay, board discussion. Jimmy?
Is there any time frame for, just curious, for when the sovereign and fences need to be completed? Yeah, you gotta.
I'm sorry.
Presentation.
Forgot
Yeah, you gotta present those one, how come we didn't present?
Okay,
Uh,
we can skip that part.
Sorry, Brandy.
It's all good. Good morning, everybody. Chair, members of the board, I am Brandy Ayo, property manager with the Arm Division on the Big Island. Okay, so in 2020, Governor's Executive Order number 4625 transferred the subject land parcels to the Department of Ag for management purposes. The Arm Division requested and received the Board of Agriculture's approval to dispose of the parcels by way of public auction. The subject parcels were awarded to the successful bidder, Diamond B Ranch. A 35-year lease, or 35-year leases were issued for both parcels commencing December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2058. Diamond B Ranch submitted expense receipts for equipment and services rendered. The lessee has been clearing and continues to clear the land in anticipation of having the property surveyed and fenced. The expenses to prepare the land for surveying and fencing have exceeded the amount totaling 2 years of rental offset for the leases. Pursuant to the HDOA and the lease, the BOA may permit the lessee to offset the cost of land clearance and improvements against not more than 2 years of base annual rental. The lessee is requesting rental offset of 2 years of annual lease rent in the amount of $11,000 for general lease 3151 and $340 for general lease 3152. Staff recommends that the Board of Agriculture approve the lessee's request for a rental offset of up to 2 years of the base annual lease rent in accordance with the terms and conditions of general lease 3151 and 3152 and the HAR. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandy. Hey, Jimmy.
So my question, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Is there a time frame that he needs to complete the fence? Because we know I gave him a loan for him to do emergency fencing. And are there particular specs that we put on, say, we're not gonna put 48-inch barbed wire fence, it needs to go 8 foot because it's for deer, or 10 feet. Are there any stipulations like that?
Though the loan side might have, we don't. So as far as the rental offset, he had within the first year of having the lease, he needed to provide us with the receipts to get the offset, which he did, and it far exceeds the amount that he's.
Yeah, I've seen his equipment there.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, if there was any kind of specs to put a fence to. On the loan side, it was for emergency fencings for control of the access deer. So if we would put regular barbed wire, 47-inch fence with barbed wire, the deer would go right over it. So you're not protecting them with forage. So I was just wondering if there was any kind of.
To my knowledge, as far as the lease goes, it's pretty general. It doesn't have a specific height in the lease. But I would have to double check on if his lease specifically states something or not. I don't have that in front of me.
So why would we have an emergency fencing loan?
We don't,
The loan would have put that.
if the loan requires that, that would be a different
It wouldn't
issue,
be
but
ours.
we're not, we didn't issue the loan.
He's had the lease.
Yeah.
And Young's gone already, yeah.
So if the loan requires that, then it would be like Jennifer said, it would be stipulated
Do
in
you
the.
mind inquiring? Brandy?
Sure.
We can get back to the plan. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Randy, do we have not only St. Brendan or anyone else in the ranch, stakeholders, and a similar like this and these, do they need to provide some pictures or updates of what they've been doing,
Yeah, well, for the rental offset, yes,
Right.
which they provided, and then we do inspections, right, throughout the year. We do at least 1 to 2 inspections a year, so we would see their progress. And we also measure their progress against their plan of utilization. So in their plan of utilization, they have to meet certain benchmarks, so we watch out for that as well.
Would you happen to tell me what the benchmarks are? You can
Each
find
one
out
is
for-
different. Each one is different.
I'd like to know this particular one,
Okay.
because it's so overgrazed by the access deer. that it'll take some time for him to get any kind of carrying capacity. And so that's why I brought up the fencing, because if you don't keep the deer out, you ain't gonna have any groceries. I'm just,
Okay,
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals? Hearing none, motion approved. Thanks, Randy. Next up is request for consent to assignment of general lease number S-4760 Mountain Meadows Inc. leasing assigner, Pontiac Plant Company LLC assignee, PNK 32-2056-039 Lot 13, Pontiac Agricultural Park, Hawaii, KF South Hilo, Island of Hawaii. Motion approved the request.
So moved, Chair.
second,
Thanks, Diane, Jimmy. Presentation by staff, Randy?
On May 7, 1982, the Department of Land and Natural Resources executed General Lease 4760, a 55-year lease to Donald Shintaku and Helen Shintaku. General Lease 4760 was transferred to the Department of Ag by Governor's Executive Order 3378 on February 26, 1988. On July 24, 2009, General Lease 4760 was assigned to Mountain Meadows, Inc. Since taking over the lease in 2009, Raymond Tanoy, owner of Mountain Meadows, Inc., has utilized the subject property to cultivate a large variety of landscaping plants, providing plant materials to many landscaping companies on the Big Island. Unfortunately, due to health problems, his ability to maintain his farming operation has become difficult. In accordance with the HAR and the terms of the lease, Mountain Meadows is requesting to assign General Lease 4760 to Pontiac Plant Company, LLC, which is owned and operated by Kainoa Kodani and Miriam Jacinto. Kainoa Kodani has over 19 years of farming experience. He is the president and general manager of Haiku Landscape Corporation, where he oversees over 50 employees and is actively involved in all activities related to the cultivation of their landscaping plant materials. Mr. Kodani would like to develop his own farming operation on the Big Island, where he plans to continue Mountain Meadows' current operation, supplying the Big Island with the Big Island's landscaping industry with premium plant materials at a fair price. Miriam Jacinto has over 30 years of farming and managerial experience. She is also a manager with Haiku Landscape Corporation with a wide range of responsibilities. Ms. Jacinto is actively involved in the cultivation of their landscaping plant materials. She also oversees and trains the nursery staff and manages the office staff to ensure efficient operations and financial oversight. Pontiac Plant Company qualifies as an agricultural company with more than 75% of its officers qualifying as a bona fide farmer, with more than 2 years of full-time farming experience, and satisfies the eligibility requirements pursuant to the HAR. There is a consideration of $1,450,000 for the assignment of lease. This assignment will include a farm structure, shade houses, equipment, vehicles, trailers, tools, and a large plant inventory. General Lease 4760 does not include a participation clause. Staff recommends that the Board of Agriculture approve the assignment of General Lease 4760 for Mountain Meadows, Inc., lessee assignor, to Pontiac Plant Company, LLC assignee, and the consideration of $1,450,000. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. And anyone from the public wish to give testimony, Jason? Don't have to. Okay, board discussion. Diane?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's too bad. Raymond's not able to continue, so he's a good man, good business. But I'm glad that there's interest in someone, from someone family taking that over. I was just wondering because the consideration for the value of the assets that are on the property, did you go over with the folks that are asking to assume this lease, the opportunity to extend the term of the lease?
Yes, they are
Okay.
aware of that, yes.
Okay, all right, okay. And they didn't make a request to extend it at this point in time?
Not at this time, but I'm
Okay.
sure that's gonna come next.
Okay, all right, just make sure they're aware. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals? Hearing none, motion approved. Okay, move on to the next one. Request for approval of conversion of general lease number S-5488 and S-5489 to a new general lease for Newtown and Country Stables Inc. TNK numbers 14-1-008, 054, and 059. Waimanalo, Ko'olaupuko, Idaho, Oahu, Hawaii. Ready? Oh, sorry, call for a motion.
So moved.
Jimmy,
With an acceptance of board recommendation.
second,
I'll second, Ryan.
sorry, who's second? Brian?
Right.
Okay, moved in second. Brandy, presentation?
Newtown and Country Stables Inc., owned and operated by Henry Bud Gibson and Kathleen Gibson, is a livestock feeding and handling facility and a pasture and corral system. Operating over 60 years, the Gibsons have supplied the island of Oahu with a yearly average of 240,000 pounds of beef. Pursuant to the HAR, the lessee is requesting a conversion of general lease 5488 and 5489 into two new leases with a 65-year term with the character use as pasture. The board may agree to enter into a new lease. After such approval, the department or staff must complete the following when issuing a new lease. Require an appraisal of the parcel in accordance with the HAR to determine the annual base rental for the initial 15 years of the new lease. Impose other lease terms, provisions, restrictions, and conditions as provided in this chapter, as may be required to protect the state's interests. Require a payment of annual lease rent by appraisal and a premium computed at 25% of the annual base rent for each of the leases equal to the number of equal to the number of years the lessee has occupied the land not to exceed 7 years, and require those qualifying to meet the bona fide farmer criteria as defined in the HAR. Pursuant to the HAR, appraisals have been completed to determine the fair market rental for the subject parcels for the converted lease terms. The appraised annual rental for TMK 1-4-1-008-059, which is for general lease 5488, is $54 per year. The appraised annual rental for general lease 5489 is $27 per year. The appraisals are enclosed with the submission as Exhibit B. In accordance with the HAR, the lessee shall pay an annual premium equal to 25% of the annual base rental for the period not to exceed 7 years of each lease. Further, the board and lessee must mutually agree to cancel the existing general lease number 5488 and 5489 by executing mutual cancellation of lease documents subject to the execution of a converted general lease of the converted general leases documenting the effective dates. The effect of such cancellation will ensure that only one lease is in full force and effect. Newtown and Country Stables has a past annual lease balance of approximately $95,823 to the HDOA. Lessee has proposed to pay $6,311.50 as a settlement payment toward the past due balance. The proposal also includes the closure of a large capacity cesspool and the installation of a septic system at the lessee's expense. Pursuant to the HAR, the board has the power to waive rental payments due to natural catastrophes and other external factors beyond the lessee's control and determine the period for the waiver. Staff recommends that the Board of Agriculture approve the Department of Agriculture to convert general lease 5488 and 5489 into new leases with the Department of Agriculture for 65-year terms each, with the character of use as pasture for each lease. Accept the fair market rental of $54 per year for general lease 5488 and $27 per year for 5489. Determine and approve the settlement of the past due annual rental due to the HDOA for the period August 19, 2017 to present. Waive $89,511.50 of past due annual lease rents for general lease 5488 and 5489 and accept $6,311.50. New Town and Country Stables will, at their own cost, close a large capacity cesspool and install a septic system or other plumbing system as approved by the State of Hawaii Department of Health. Delegate to the chairperson to enter into a fully executed settlement agreement reflecting the same. And approve the mutual cancellation of general lease 5488 and 5489 contingent upon the execution of a settlement agreement as stated above and subject to the execution of the new general leases. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandy. Anyone from the public wish to testify? No answer. But I know the Bud is here. Do you like to say something or you just want to wait and answer questions?
It'd probably be best to answer questions because if I have 2 minutes, 61 years, then it's gonna take a long, I have Portuguese, what can I say?
Okay, thank you. For discussion. No one?
This is Nate.
Okay.
I'm much more liking the way this is going than the last time we had this discussion. I feel like this is definitely moving in the right direction of doing what's the right thing to do. So I'm glad that this is put together. There's a little more information here to digest than we had last time. And I'm looking forward to this vote. So thank you.
Okay. Diane? You're on mute, Diane.
Sorry. I have two questions for Brandy. One, with the character of use being proposed as pasture, will that exclude any stable renting of the stables as well as rodeo activities?
Yeah, no rodeo activities, correct.
And no stables?
I think if the stables is utilized to house the cattle, I believe that may be okay. I would have to double check on that, but
Okay.
yeah.
But it would
definitely
be,
no
it would
rodeos.
be the Gibson's cattle, not necessarily external parties.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then just for the record, on the second page of this submittal, at the bottom paragraph, it refers to the board having the power to waive rental payments due to natural catastrophes or other external factors beyond the lessee's control. Can you state briefly, just for the record, I'm assuming this is a situation where it's beyond the lessee's control, what the situation drove this backlog of rent?
You know, that might be a question for the lessee. I don't have that information with regards to what brought it to this point.
Or maybe if Brian Cowell is available to answer that question from the department.
No daisy chain.
I think my concern here is the reason I was looking for something for the record was that
if you want to,
periodically we have situations where a lessee, it has financial, challenges, and in all goodness of our hearts, we as board members want to, relieve them of the financial strain, or that the lease may be putting them under. But we do have a fiduciary responsibility also with state assets. So that was why I'm looking for just a statement about what's driving this waiver of the back rent.
If I could maybe answer that somewhat, Diane.
Thank you.
Because I've been, involved in this from the very beginning. The transfer was done in 2017. And so if we follow logic, it should have been handled in 2017. And based on Act 90 and the transfer, apparently it was transferred by EO, but it was never agreed upon by DOA. So there's some stuff that wasn't limbo. There's a question of who pays the lease rent, who bills what, and if it was done in 2017, we wouldn't be in this situation today with all the back rent. It would have been at a reduced rate. And I think based on the current appraisal back in 2017 would probably have been less, I would guess. You know, Mr. Gibson, this is an old quarry site and it's been there since the mid-1960s. And the work he put into that place is amazing. He provides a very strategic opportunity for the community by, you know, holding the rodeos and other stuff. So he's been a really great community person. And, you know, I think it's reasonable to forgive the lease rent. And the large capacity cesspool, I just want to make one question, or I have a question on that, because my understanding, it was never said by EPA that it is a large capacity cesspool, just that it could be considered a large capacity cesspool. Is that correct? In my reading the correspondence that EPA got from you guys, unless there's something that came after that.
It sounds like, well, my understanding is that it's implied that it is a large capacity cesspool, and
They never said it was.
I believe there was further.
You never confirmed.
I can,
Okay.
so there were further, we just recently received a letter of that, it confirmed it, didn't it confirm?
Did they confirm it? What?
They did,
Okay.
they did
okay, 'cause
confirm,
I'm not aware of that letter.
yeah.
Can I interject? for a
Okay.
second on
Sure.
that?
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was never confirmed until they went back and said, because we are a business agriculture, that's what's caused it to be what they refer to as large.
Okay,
Because size wise, if you look at it, and now we kept it up, it's like 700 gallons.
I think we also got to keep in mind, right, the interpretation just recently changed. Because before then, it wasn't an issue. And given the way EPA might be going under the new administration, it may change everything again. I just don't know. But the interpretation was changed, I think, with no public input at all. And so it's questionable whether it's legal or not, at least in my opinion. So anyway, I hope I answered your question, Diane.
Yes, you did. I mean, it sounds like that, you know, the history of this, it, you know, sat at Department of Ag, without moving forward to get a timely appraisal done and, the conversion at least. So I'm satisfied with that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, it's no reflection on the applicant. It's more, you know, just for the record, we need to be able to.
Nate, you have another question?
Yeah, I might have missed this real quick. Was the cesspool installed prior to the lease?
Yeah.
Or was it installed by the
done-
leasee?
it was done- No, it was done in the 1950s by a prior, I guess, leasee. So it was inherited,
Actually, it was built in 1949.
or 1949, okay. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rob.
a general comment then, as someone who uses one of these leases too, it's always kind of frustrating for a leasee to be, you know, the onus be on them for doing improvements on stuff that really doesn't maybe generate equity later. So just more consideration for, you know, thinking about these things. If we're building these leases and we're making them available for agriculture, you know, a partnership into improvements is important. So just a consideration.
Yes. We go to page 15, which is lease identification and description. And character of use as well as significant lease conditions. One of them is no commercial activities whatsoever shall be allowed within the premises without prior written approval of the leaseor. And then no boarding of horses and the leasee's own cattle, dairy milking parlors or whatsoever. Let me tell you something about Mr. Gibson. I've known Bud for an awfully long time. And what we're looking at, these two parcels are really small, and it's an ex-rock quarry. And what he's taken, a dump, and made it into the best he can. One of the things you have here that he supplies 240,000 pounds of beef. That's true, but it's not a, that may be only the processing that comes through that corral, because he has other leased property. So just when you're converting this lease and you're talking and looking at things, there's a lot of things of us in the cattle industry relies on Mr. Gibson, because Oahu is the hub. So our cattle that comes over, for example, what we call a container. Container is a double decker, and you probably put means in it, anywhere from 58 to 64 acres. And there might be 5, 6 containers that's coming in, say from the Big Island, quite high. It's coming into Oahu. Matson changes the in-gate times. You're not going to ship out today. You're going to ship out tomorrow. Or if the ship breaks, we're down for a week. These cattle are transferred to his facility, offloaded. He's got to give them water. He's got to feed them. He's got to reload them and coordinate to get back to Matson Pier. I'm only talking cattle. Now let's talk about horses. People have horses that are bought from the mainland and are flown here into Oahu, but they're not only going to stay here. They're going to move these horses to the Big Island. They're going to move it to Kauai. They're going to move it to Molokai. They're going to move it to Maui. Well, plane doesn't fly there. So Mr. Gibson has to make booking arrangements with YD. And sometimes, you know, we got this guy specifically, Vince Chenko, his plane may not flying, so that puts a bind on him to say, young brothers, I can't go, I've got to wait. So he's got to board those horses there. He's got to feed them. He's not going to do it for free, but he is a go-to person. Now, we're only talking horses and cattle. He deals with sheep, he deals with goats, he deals with llamas. You know, so there's a variety of livestock that comes through this man's facility. And so I see things here that it needs to be changed, but I'd like to see some consideration of what the asset that he supplies to our industry throughout the 50th state. Besides, Bud at one point is raising bucking bulls that goes to the PBR, his own breed, his own whatever that he's done. He's an icon in the industry. He's done very well. He's not a guy to boast. He's helped us tremendously in Hawaii Cattlemen's Council over the years. The input that he gives, and he's never asked that, hey, I want to be compensated. It's always for the industry. So I take my hat off to him and his operation that he has. So as much as we can try to help him, you know, I would like to, and he's been fighting this. I remember back in 2017, I was on the board of Land and Natural Resources. They made the motion to take it over from DLNR Act 90 and give it to DOA. So I'm very well of that, but aware of that. So I just wanted to make that point. Again, the cesspool deal goes back to 1949. It's 75 years. You know, I don't think they knew it was high capacity. They just dug a damn hole and he said 700 gallons. You know, it's just one guy sits there and he takes a pee, takes a poop, boom, 700 gallons. That's it. So how can you refer this to be a high capacity cesspool? That's BS. But that's my 2 cents.
There's a lot of old crap in there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
No comment.
Another real quick question. Back in the day, and then just informational. You send cattle out of Hawaii on a cow tainer. It's not a container, it's a cow tainer. Yeah, it's got a feed bump, it's got a water trough, it's double deck, and they got stock tenders that go along with these containers, and they go to Oakland, they go to Seattle, and it was back like $2,500 a container. Today, to send one cow tainer, we were talking about $19,000. And stock tenders goes with them. They got a hard time finding stock tenders to go with these cattle because it's a rough job, you know? But again, you know, so as much as we can try to save, and a lot of people, one of the biggest stakeholder we have in ranching is Parker Ranch. Their cow tenders will come to Mr. Gibson from Big Island here, so he can take it, make arrangements and ship it out of here. So to say that, you know what, you can't do any of this, and the horses and the sheep and the goats, he's gotta put a roof over them, he's gotta feed them. So I think we need to really take a look into consideration, and if it can't be done, let's change the statute or the laws or the requirements to accommodate that. This is a agricultural entity. This is a ranching stakeholder. You know, just as much as we would help a farmer, I would like to see that we help a rancher. You know, and the magnitude that what he gives back. You come to Waimanalo, welcome to Waimanalo. What do you see? The golf course? Jim, you got that picture? Show that picture. Put it up for our board members that can see it. You know, one side is a golf course, the other side is Bud Gibson. Welcome to Waimanalo. So this is generally, this is a place that, you know, I've never heard one bad word of people in our industry or even in the public that has negative, and I'm not saying that Board of Ag is not doing that, but we need to help this gentleman get a lease. He's long in the tooth, he's gray haired, lost his hair. Well, shit, we ain't gonna be around forever. We're vertical now, tomorrow might be horizontal. We've been pissing and moaning for this long enough. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay, Jimmy, thank you. Brandon, I have a question. You know, it says no stabling of horses and stuff like, is that by statute, or is that by some other rule, or is it just a policy, or, you know?
You know, that is a good question. And I have to apologize because I don't know the history of this. I kind of got brought into this later in the game. I can only speak to what I know. And the character of use is pasture, right? So there's limitations when it's for pasture use. Maybe if the character of use was different, it would allow for other things. But with regards to stabling, you're asking about the stabling of the animals, right?
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, if I remember correctly, there was this one lease that was trying to be transferred to somebody else. And the guy was actually doing stabling and writing on that particular lease. That's the one that came to us, and there was $1 million involved in the sale of that lease and never got passed, but. So I was just curious, you know, is there administrative rules, or is there statute that says, no, I can't do anything, or is it something that's negotiated when you do the lease?
That's a good question.
And whether, because when I inquired about it, it was said something to the effect that, well, because the appraisal was done only on pasture versus being told, okay, I want you to appraise it on this, it came out differently. So if it was stabling, it may have been differently for that parcel.
Correct.
So I'm just wondering if that's something that when the lease gets negotiated between DOA and Mr. Gibson, that's something that could be worked out, or is it out of the picture?
Okay, now that's kind of a legal question, I think, when it comes to if it would require a change in character of use, then I think there's additional steps that would come to the table that.
Did you guys want to ask for the exec session?
Yeah.
Would you want to move to go into exec session? To.
I don't think it's necessary, but it's something that should be answered, you know, maybe later when they start working on it.
Totally agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay, but I won't. I would not like to give legal advice.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine.
Executive
That's fine. We don't need that legal interpretation at this point. But anyway.
I do think though, if the character of use is gonna change, there's gonna be other requirements.
Yeah.
That may halt this whole procedure moving forward.
Or if
Because-
this could be done and then could
Well,
always come back to the board at a later
My
time.
understanding of it is anytime you change the character of use, it would require the cancellation of a lease, which would then prevent the department from doing a direct lease. We would
Okay.
have to go out for public notice and then bid it out to the public.
Okay,
That it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or,
yeah, I mean,
But-
because this is a transfer, of an existing lease,
right,
which allows all of this stuff, at least my understanding.
what, does anybody know, Jerome, do you know what is the character of use now with the DLNR lease?
Ask your special question.
Okay, so special equestrian, I don't believe we would allow, because it's not agricultural activity, right? So that's why rodeos and stuff wouldn't be allowed because it's not an ag activity, it's not producing agriculture. So I believe that's why we're moving forward with pasture.
Okay.
So that's our wiggle room, is that we could only change it to the pasture.
Okay, but
out the
I just
special.
want to make sure you understand that right at this point.
Yes, if I could, few quick comments. The wording that is used in the DLNR lease that was, just so you know, I got my confirmation letter in August, I got it in October. They approved it in August of 2017, 7.5 years ago, where they transferred to DOA. And then I have a list that I will leave with for chronological order of all the things that had happened. And the answer, for example, of why we were in the rears, because in 2006, for example, which was our 10th year of our DLNR lease rental reopening, the negotiation, they call that in the lease, negotiation, but anyway, we went up to $582.58 an acre. The golden calf, I think, had something to do in the Bible about the deal. That's what I would have to raise to pay that, so I'm being a little facetious, but I have a list of these things now. Back to what we're talking about is for some of the descriptions and so forth. When they say equestrian and so forth. What about my horses that I use to work with cattle?
That's different. It's supporting, that would be used to support your cattle
Right.
operation.
I think what we need to try to do when we do this lease is not have so many restrictions and so forth, because we are an asset to the community. For example, as that picture shows right there with a gateway and the entrance with the whole Mount Golf Course entered on the mall. And a question I would have is we have several groups, or week before last, we had youth church group came up and used the facility. They had their group gatherings and so forth. And then a couple weeks before that, we had another school, bunch of kids come. When we do that for the community, can we continue to do that? What's the status gonna be?
So my understanding of it is no, that would all have to stop.
That's
And as much as, you know, that's a good thing, it's a great community thing, but we have to remember what are the terms of the lease and what the lease allows.
So can we get that set up so we can do that? Because let me just say, when I go back to Honolulu, my brother's there, and I tell him this is coming to an end. Who do I send him to? You don't want them to come down, you don't want to come into town.
So I recommend this is board discussion. If you want to do testimony, that's fine, but if it's going to be working out something
Yeah,
Okay,
with the department, that should be done. I don't think an open meeting.
okay,
That's
yeah,
my
and
recommendation.
I think
I
that
mean, you
that's
guys
where
can talk after.
the negotiation between you and the department, when you guys work out the lease.
Yeah.
I think right now the vote is basically the conversion.
The conversion.
Conversion over, so. I just want to remind, because we have only X amount of people, that it has to be a unanimous vote in order for this to pass. Any other board discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. Are there any objections or refusals? If not, motion carried.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you, guys.
I don't think there's any group business, but there is a non-action item under new business, invasive species action plan update, Jonathan.
Good morning, good afternoon, Chair.
It's still morning.
Good morning. I don't remember what time it is anymore. But good morning, board and members of the committee. Jonathan Ho, Plant Quarantine Branch Manager. Just a real quick update. for a lot of the Act 231 stuff. Last month I talked about the two-line spittlebug contract. Which had closed. 240,000. It's going to be for controlling eradication or management of two-line spittlebug on Big Island. We did get 3, I believe, proposals, and we're working on the contract to effectuate that. We just got the finalized contract for LFA control work for Rent-A-Kill Terminex. That was on the 14th. So we're working with them to make sure that they're trained, and then we're going to get them out, particularly on Oahu. And we're working with Hawaii Ant Lab to have them trained on Kauai and Maui. We're kind of working with them on that. There's a little bit of delay. And then we're going to be working with the Mayor Almeida for Hawaii Island, because obviously we're trying to figure out a way to use those treatments for, I think, folks, not necessarily first come, first serve, but I think more for folks who could benefit more from the treatment subsidy for residential services on Big Island, especially because of how widespread LFA is. The pest diagnostics RFP also closed last month. We got 3 people. We're working on completing the contract for that. We're still kind of getting through some of the quirks for the green waste 800K. And then there's a bunch of bills at the legislature that affect biosecurity. I would say the 2 probably I think biggest ones are HB 427 and SB 1100. Those are the ones that rename the department for Department of Agriculture Biosecurity, create deputies. 427 enables biosecurity emergencies with approval from the governor. And then 1100 adds transitional facilities. So that's basically everything needs to be inspected, and there's going to be private inspectors. They're creating rapid response units. And both of them make permanent the Act 231 positions, the 44 positions that were created last year. SB 252 is, I think, another big one. It basically enables the department to inspect anything. People, persons, every commodity. It allows for also inspections of the same goods inter-island. And then it changes the penalties from criminal, a lot of them from criminal to civil, and to get rid of some of the kind of the quirks, particularly as it relates to things like passenger baggage. 251, SB 251 creates a placarding program. This is something that's happened in the past, but it would require basically everybody to have a placard very similar to the DOH food establishment program. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any people involved with it or included with it, so implementation may be difficult. SB 562 is another, I think it's being heard on Wednesday. That one creates a registry program for nurseries. The legislature initially had it only for plants, and then they had this weird definition that included plants that produce cut flowers, but not the cut flowers themselves. So we asked for clarification, and they included pretty much any agricultural production. So fruits, vegetables, cut flowers, foliage, all of those things are now included in this registration program. It's unusual in that it kind of compels people to attest that they're going to be meeting these requirements, but there's no inspection built in, but you can inspect after the registration. So it's an unusual enforcement structure. And then there was one that we kind of missed, but it's a HB 175, and it basically requires any owner or lessee of real property to maintain said property to prevent the proliferation of invasive species. And yeah, that one is massive because it doesn't define invasive species. And it does seek to involve plants, because there's a fire component. But it talks about managing plants that are invasive and that are deemed invasive. So you have a lot of these weird things like kikuyu grass, for example, which is a federal noxious weed, which would appear to be covered under this measure, and obviously eradicating that would be very counterproductive to ranching on the Big Island. So kind of we're working.
Every item.
Oh, every island, okay. Okay, but yeah, you know, so there's a lot of quirks with that particular bill. You know, we missed it in the subject matter committees, but we did submit testimony before it went to Fin. So we're gonna be working with the introducer to kind of clarify, I think, what they're seeking to intend to do, but you know, we have a little bit of concerns with it because it allows you to inspect anything pretty much. Again, private property access, you can't just go into people's private property. So yeah, that's kind of I think some of the things that are happening at Ledge. There's a bunch of other ones for, you know, firewood regulations, enabling us to inspect on behalf of the federal government for compliance, bunch of other stuff, but I think they're not as, I think, broad reaching as these ones are, I think, to ag in general. Yeah.
Jonathan, when you say,
So just so you guys know, we can't do discussion because of how this is written on the agenda item. I'm just gonna, you know, YP is gonna come after us.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
presentation by you, and if it's something we wanna have a discussion, we have to write it more detailed on the agenda.
okay,
I spoke to someone there, they're really strict.
okay.
And I'll show you the YP opinion on it so you can see. But we can't ask questions or because they consider that discussion.
I'd like to see how we can ask questions.
We could, if you pick the thing that you're most interested in, we could put on the agenda, the next agenda. Or you would have to write a report beforehand, so we can write this very detailed.
Okay, yeah, okay.
What you can do is, ask Marcy or, you have my email address. Now, I need your email address so I can send you some questions.
Okay. Yep.
And then for the next meeting on the agenda, at least you got it, ask some questions.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
I think one of the things, Jonathan, one of the things that I think we're supposed to get lucky to is on the guidance document, no?
Okay, yeah, you know, so, you know, I can send it. I have it. I did give it to, the draft version to, Eric Tenoy, for Hefna. So I think they presented it to their board. I didn't hear anything, so I think good, but no, I can send that to you folks. That's not a problem. I have that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the last thing on our agenda, so we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Jimmy, a second.
Right.
Okay, second, Diane. Any objections, not, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Let's show you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.